Hello everyone, welcome to another J. Robinson Art Peiloff painting project. Today we're going to be painting a nice abstract floral arrangement. We call it Red Dotted Pot. And we're basically going to just be using a lot of colors, but what's going to make this painting interesting today is we're going to actually be mixing a few colors. So that might make it a little challenging for some, but then again, challenges are good. So why don't we get started by just talking about the equipment that we have laid out so we can get right into it. Off to the right, I have my cup of water. The colors that we're going to be using today, which are on my half palette sheet that we provide, is yellow, red, white, a dark green, purple, and black. Now again, I've squeezed out just a little bit, probably more than I'll use throughout the painting, but then we give you more than enough. So this way you could have some to either enhance your products offline later or to just paint something different. We give you a paper towel, a plastic apron. We provide you with brushes and a spatula. The spatula is going to help us to remove our peel off, and we're going to be getting to that later. And we also, let's take a look at the project for today. This is the project, Red Dotted Pot, with these abstract paintings and some little lemons for yellow coloration in it. We give you a nice 8x10 canvas with all the peels already affixed. So basically we're going to start out with the background, painting in a few greenery, some other plant life. Then we're going to remove the peels and just start decorating our painting. So without further ado, let's get started. Now I myself have my old little beat up brushes for purposes of the video and to help expedite matters. And trust me, if you have your own, please feel free to use them. The level of comfort that you get from your own brushes can never be compared. So I'm going to start out by mixing my first color, which is going to be that orange background. To mix, we're going to use a little bit of yellow, a touch of red, and see how you push those two colors together, you get a really nice orange. Now I'm going for a kind of a light orange, so I'm going to probably be adding a lot more yellow than I am red. See? And the more you add, the lighter it gets. This is good. So I'm going to start by just painting in the background. So now, in order to establish my borderline of where my green table will be versus my orange wall, why don't we just take the brush and just pull a line and say that's going to be where our wall stops and our table begins. So this way we could have an establishment. So I'm just going to take and start brushing in some orange for my background. See, I'm stroking left and right. It's just a wall, so you really can paint it anywhere you want to. I just prefer to go left and right in this particular case. Okay, see how that's coming in? And make sure you paint over your peels. It's very important. That's why they're there. They're there to block you or block the area for you. We'll peel them off later, and we'll add some color to those flowers after we've painted in all of this. Okay, that looks great. Now I'm going to take and go with a little bit more yellow and start introducing a lighter color off to this side of my canvas. Still going to mix it in with the orange, but I'm using more yellow in this direction for lighting. So there'll be a darker orange here, kind of a lighter orange there. So I'm just going to scrub that in. Please excuse my hand. See how quickly that is when we've done that? Now some of the other things we're going to be doing today that's going to make this a little bit more challenging too is we're going to be allowing our background to dry before we proceed on with the florals, because I don't want the colors to mix together. So I'm going to make sure I establish me a nice background color first. Go back over here with the darker orange and then just softly blend all of this together. Just getting rid of the brush marks. I picked up some red, but that's okay, because to complement that, I'm just going to go with some yellow, turn it orange, and just let it blend into the background. That's fine. Now, what I'm doing right here is I'm just taking the opportunity to softly go back and forth on my brush strokes to get rid of those hard lines. Now, if you look, you'll see that over here is slightly yellow-orange, and over here is a slightly darker orange. I don't even mind this streak. So I'm going to leave this here for a little while, let that set up and dry, and then we're going to come in and we're going to be painting in our background. But while I'm letting this dry, we're going to go ahead and block in our ground. So why don't we clean off our brush. I call this ringing the bell, knocking the brush from side to side. Then I'm just going to wipe my brush flat. And I'm going to pick up some of this darker green. And I'm just going to paint the rest of my background in down here. I'm just going to take some of that darker green and stroke that in from left to right. I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up. When I get to the orange line, I'm going to slow it down just a tad. And then I'm going to take and maybe just draw me a line right below that orange line with that green. There you go. And I'm very carefully blend in all of this. There. Just going to stroke this a little bit. Excuse me. Pick up my paper towel. There you go. And that's good for now. When this dries, we'll come back and add some shadow color down here. And we're going to add some stems into our pot. But for right now, we're going to leave that, clean off my brush, let our canvas dry for a couple of minutes. I would say give it a 2-minute, 3-minute drying time. Not a long time. Acrylic dries very, very fast before we pick up the next step. So I'm going to leave everything just like it is, and I'll be right back. Okay, believe it or not, I've only given my canvas a couple of minutes to dry. I just paused the video. I left everything like it was. And I'm back now to test with the back of my finger to see just how dry it is and it's sufficient. Nothing's coming off. I'm going to move the brush. I'm going to move this apron. Put my spatula there. Now I'm going to take my little flat brush, and basically what we're going to do now is we're going to start to pull in some of the greenery, you know, the stems to the flowers and the other vegetation that was in the pot. And we're going to do all of this just before we start to do our background and everything. So I just wanted a few minutes to take a look at something, because I think what I'd like to do right now is add another layer of some of that green onto the bottom of my canvas just to make it a little bit darker. So I'm going to come over here and add just another coat. See how much darker it's getting? See how much darker it is than it was previously? Because I really want this to stand up. There. Put some right over here. I'm going to leave the light side. I'm going to leave one side a little lighter where the light was shining in on this side here. And I also think I'm going to tap into just a tiny bit of black and start putting in some shadows around the vegetation and around the base of this vase, like here. Just going to pull in some of this darkness, like that. Soften it up a little bit. Let that go like that. And maybe there's a little bit of this darkness right in between over here. Come around this side just a touch. There you go. That's fine. It's going to act as a shadow color. Let me clean this off. Wipe this with my paper towel. Okay, this is good. Told you my brushes were cheap. Now I'm going to take my spatula and I'm going to remove just the pot. So I'm just going to take my spatula, gripping it over here in the neck, and using these corners, any of those corners, and I'm just going to dig in until some of it starts to peel back. And then I'm just going to peel up the pot. Grab a little corner of it. And now I'm just going to peel up the pot. Now I'm going to take this flat brush with some white on it, and I'm just going to paint the inside of the pot. Just so that when I add some other stuff later, it'll be some paint there. Now for some of you, you can leave it. You don't have to paint it at all if you don't want to. You can leave it to save yourself that move, but I would do it because you're going to be adding a black line up here. Some of this greenery is going to come on it. You don't want the canvas to be really, really dry. You want it to have some slickness to it. So I'm just going to add some paint right inside the vase itself. It's like prepping it, if you will. Put some color over here a little bit. There. Now, with that being said, you have to remember that there's a opening in the pot, which I'm going to introduce a black line just for you to see. I'm just going to take a line and say that maybe right up in here is where the opening to my pot is going to be. All right, but I'm going to leave that just to show you. Now I'm going to take some of this greenery and start pulling in some stems to these flowers. So let's take this one and say that it goes right over the pot and goes into here. And there's another one that's up here, so why don't we take that, arc that a little bit right there. So I'm going to just look at the flowers that I have, that clump up there. I'm just going to pull some right here. This one kind of goes straight down. Go again on that one. Here's another one in this clump, so I'm going to start going in this direction. And here's another one that's way back here, so I'm going to pull this one off over here. And then there's this one, so I'm just going to pull that right there. Now those are just for the flowers that are there. Now we're going to be adding some other stems for the greenery. So maybe there's something that's hanging off, cuts across over here. Maybe there's another piece that's right up in here. Just kind of comes down into there. Maybe there's some greenery that's way up over the canvas that comes down over here. Maybe there's some that's on this side that kind of curls in this way, like that. Maybe there's even another piece that goes like that. These are just things that are going to be in the pot itself, that are the decorations or the added extra value of colors. Maybe there's one that kind of stems off over here a little bit. Let's just do that one again. And maybe there's one more that just kind of droops over here. Now you see how I just made those things up. First I put my stems into my plants themselves. Then I added some extra stuff. Let's clean off this brush. Wipe it on the paper towel. Clean off this big brush. Wipe that on the paper towel. Clean off my spatula. I picked up some color. Wipe that on the paper towel. Okay. So now, you can take your pointed brush, and I would use white. White is going to be like where things are later, and we'll add some color on top of them. Now, for some of these green things, they have purple on them, they have pink on them. You make the choices to where you want them. So, for example, if I take and put a white, let's say a design right here, later I'm going to paint that purple and leave some of the white. So all I'm doing is just making a placement for where things are. And because of the orange, I'm using the white so that later the purple will show up nicer on the white than it would over the orange. Some of this stuff is going to be behind the plants. So I'm just coming down this particular one here, and I'm just adding a bunch of little shapes. Like I said, later they're going to have purple on them. So let's say maybe there's another one right here that's going to have some purple on it. So I'm just taking and adding these little white shapes to the green stems that I'm later going to paint purple or pink. It'll be my choice. But for right now, I'm just decorating the pot with a bunch of accessories into the plant. Other plants that are other than the main ones, okay? Maybe like that. Maybe over here, there's another one that I'm going to introduce some purple to. So I'm just putting in these shapes with white to later on come back and make some of it purple. We don't know what's going to show up. And maybe for the last one of these, it's this one right here. So put a tip. And I'm going to put some more of those designs. Now I know this seems crazy, but this is going to be so much fun later on. I'm just going from side to side like this. These are little things growing off the side of this stem. There. Now for the pink ones, let's say I'm going to make those more of a circle so I can know the difference. So I'm going to put like little circles of white. I'm going to add some more stems, I could tell. Because I want more. I want a lot of this. There. Maybe it comes down here. Maybe this one's a purple one. So I'm going to go back to that design like this for this particular one. It'll all make sense in a little while. Right now, I know what I'm doing doesn't make any sense at all. But that's the fun of painting. Just being creative, you know, pushing around a few colors, and let's see what happens. Okay. That's good. Clean off my brush. And to show you what I mean, why don't we take some purple now on the brush and start accentuating some of these. We'll leave the tips so they have a little white flower coming out of the ends of those. In my world, these are abstract. These aren't real. So I'm just making some purple at the buds, at the base, and I'm leaving the tips white because that flower's coming into bloom. See, just adding some color. Now I'm adding color. So when we open these peels off and add our flowers, all of these colors are going to come together and make my picture really look full. So I'm just going to pick little flowers that I'm saying are the purple ones for the purposes of my painting. You'll be making these choices for yourself. There, I'm just adding some decorations to these that I just made white. And you see how the purple is standing up? Much stronger than it would be if it was just on the orange. Let's do this one over here. And then we have one more on the other side. And then we're going to go into the pink. So again, it's just a base. I'm letting the tips stay white. Those flowers are about to bloom soon. But for right now, and I'm going to do this one right over here. Same way, just adding some purple, leaving the white tips. It'll all make sense in a few seconds. We're almost there. This seems like it takes a lot, but it's just putting a little investment in the painting. Okay, clean this off. We're going to take a little red and a little white and make us a nice pink. That's a nice pink. Let's see how it shows up. So we're going to come here and we're just going to tap some of that pink onto those. Make our pink a little darker. Tap some of this pink onto these buds just to give them color. We can leave some of the tips white again. We're just introducing some color variation. See how the pink and the purple is standing up? You know, I'd love to have one more stem here. So why don't we do that really quickly? Allow me to just add one more stem, maybe that goes in this direction. Peels off here, comes back down in here. Put some white on it. So we can add some pink to this. Just to break up this area over here a little bit. See how you can add and do whatever you like. It's your painting. And just that fast. Now I have some room over here to introduce a little pink color. There. That's sufficient. That's good enough. So you see how the purple and the pink little flower looks, or lilacs, or whatever you want to call them, or in the painting now? So now I'm going to clean off my brush. I'm going to go back into some green just before I peel off. And I'm going to go over my flowers one more time. The flower stems. I want them to be a little darker than the other vegetation. So I'm just going to pull some of that color straight down over, right over what we painted before, just to make the green stand up just a little bit more. There. And maybe there's a little one right here, and there's another one that kind of goes over here. That's good. Before I move forward, I'm going to take that black now, and I'm going to make where the pot is opened in the back, like here. I'm just going to take and run this right along the base of where those stems were. Because this is the inside, or the artistic inside of the vase. See how the flowers go inside of that. Leave that for right now. Pretty cool, huh? And before we move on, why don't we peel off all of the rest of this stuff so we can start to paint it. So let's start with the petals. So I'm going to peel away all of the petals to the flowers. Because this is where all of the magic comes in now. Just sticking it anywhere, getting a little bit to come up so that I could just pull the rest. There you go. There you go. This is like a clump, so once you get a piece of this, all of this should come up. There. So now we have the place for our flowers. We have our pot. Why don't we do these things down here that I'm just going to call lemons. And these are just here to add color. They're just to add some coloration to the painting and to help with the background. Peel those off. Peel these off. See? Take the flat brush, some yellow, and I'm just going to start painting these in real fast just to add some color, some other color to the painting. It's almost like Cezanne did this. It's kind of in that style, impressionistic. There. That's one. Then you have these two over here. So I'm just going to block that in with some yellow color. I'll come back later and add some shadows. This just adds a little extra color to the painting. No real purpose other than that. Okay. Now that we have those in, now we're going to paint our flowers. Now the secret to the flowers is I'm going to be painting red in the middle and purposely leaving it white so I could come back and add orange. And then I'm going to trim it with black and put some black dots in the middle. But just to show you my point, you could take this flower here, for example, and just kind of make a shape. And say this is going to be the interior of flower number 1. Purposely leaving a nice portion so that I could come back around with some orange later. So for this one, put this one inside here, like that. Here's another one. Put this one over here, like this. Purposely leaving a nice gap between each one. And do this last one on this bunch, like that, because I'm going to be trimming them in black later too. So, and then on this one, I just create a shape, fill it in. See, that's just how easy that is. Put a shape, fill it in. Fun. We're having fun now. See how from where we started to where we are, how much closer to finishing and how much more the painting is starting to come to life? There. There. Now I'm going to take some of that color we made with the orange, which was a little red, a little yellow. Put some of this in here. See? Add a little bit more yellow to my mixture. Now I'm just going to take and go right along the outside. And I'm just going to paint this. Just like that. But I'm not going to touch all of the tip because remember, I'm going to be painting a black line around them. So all I'm doing is closing them up. It kind of looks like the background. So again, I wouldn't worry about painting every inch, but just leave enough so that when you put the black lines, you know where each flower is. Get a little bit more yellow to this. Maybe this flower is just like so. See, I'm just going around it, letting the red touch is fine. We come over here, go right around this. It'll all make sense in a little while. I'm just going right around the red. Just adding that other color to it. This one over here. And while we're doing this, the red is actually drying, which is what we want. So when we come back with the black, it'll all make sense. But we're going to leave this for a moment and go to the pot. Let me show you what I meant about there. Just going to go around this one just a little bit. This one just a little bit. Touch a little bit more into these. There. That's good. That's very good. Now we're going to take our pointed brush and we're going to go into some black. Now right over here, the pot has some ripples underneath. And I'm going to start off here on the outline over here and show you. Like right over here, you see how it turns up like a dimple, turns up like a dimple. So what you want to do now is you want to continue that rhythm. So you're just going to come and make your own. Because this is the flower pot lip. This is the lip of the flower pot that's hanging over. So maybe this one dimples over, comes right up here, goes over, and comes right off the edge. So there. So now that acts as the lip to the pot. I'm going to leave the rest, which we are going to trim, but right now we're going to put some red. Now to do the red, you could just pick it up with the flat brush and make the circle. So let's say there's a dot that's right here. So just make like a partial dot that's right there. So that's going to be part of a dot right there. See that? And then adding some more red, let's say that there's another dot that sits right here. Just kind of sits right off like that. So we're going to say there's another dot. Going around, let's say there's another one that's right here. So you see how I'm pretending like the dot's going underneath the vase, see? How it's like a partial dot. But I'm just going to work my way around. Maybe there's another one that sits off right here. Put some more red. See, just take the brush, take your time. There. And then maybe there's even the last one that actually goes here. Like that. When we come around with the black, it'll clean up those edges. Now along the lip, you might have a couple. So let's say that there's one that's kind of like right here. It's part of a dot that just kind of comes right underneath here like that. And then maybe one more that's off center right here. There. And now we do something that's inside, but these are going to be a little bit more rounded because you can see those. So I'm just going to make a circle and just fill it in. And then maybe there's one more. Let's say it goes right here. Just round it. And when I add this last one, we're going to call it finish. And we're going to put that one right here. And our red dotted pot is done. See, it has the red dots. And we're good. I'm going to clean this off. Could always come back later and add some more color to that. Now we're going to outline our pot. So we're going to go into some black. And I'm just going to drag the brush right along the outside edge, right along the pot. Like that. Making sure I have enough black. If it runs out, it starts to skip. I'll stop and reload. Come over here. And I'll look for those reds that are off. And just pull it back in like so. And then I'm going all the way around. Like that. And now, for purposes of the painting, we're going to come from the back here, touch, the back here, and touch. And we're not going to do the back line. We're going to leave it just like that. How cool is that? You could even do the outline of your lemons. So why don't we just drag the brush right around the outside of all 3 lemons. Just maintaining the shape. That's one. Now for this one, I'm going to cut the line right across here. And just draw this shape in. Like so. Then come over here. Put this shape in. Like that. How cool is that? Now we're going to do each of our flowers. Now for the flowers, you're just going along the outside edge. But here's where you get to separate that orange color that's the same as the background to the flowers themselves by simply creating your outline. Then you can go right here in the middle and put a dot, and then take the brush and make some dots that go right around it. There's petal number 1 of that flower. Trying to do it so you can see, so my hand doesn't get in your way. I'm just going to drag the shape around the outside. I'm going to do this to all of the flowers. Even when I get to the clump, I'm going to separate them with a black line. Take some black, make a dot right in the middle, like a kind of a circle. Then I'll take and make some dots that just kind of go right around it. You see that? Now you decide in here how your clump's going to be. So I'm going to work on this last one out here. Please excuse my hand. I'm just going around the outside, like I'm cartooning the shape. But this is the finishing touch. This is it. After this, we're done. Put a little dot in the middle. Make a circle. Make it as big as I want. Add a little black. Dot, 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 dot right around it. See? Almost done. Now for these, like I said, you determine which way they go. So this one's going to be out in the front. So I'm going to go all the way around this one. I'm going to go all the way around it. And what that's going to do is it's going to push that one in the back. Instead of doing the dots, I'm going to just keep lining them so you can see. Now I'm just going to put this one here. And I'm going to purposely stop, because I'm going to come all the way around this next one and push this one back. So I'm going to make this flower in front of that one. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to come. I'm going to stop right there. And I'm going to come all the way around this last one to push that flower back. This was the choices that I'm making. You can determine your own lines. See? And now for each of them, I put in a little circle of black. Just a little circle. Make them as big as small as you like. And after I put the little dots around each of these, my painting's done. Dot, 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 dot. Almost like seeds. But it's just to give the flowers some kind of decoration. Kind of look like poppies a little bit. And there, our painting is complete. If you wanted to add more shadow to over here, I would just go in with the dark color very carefully, making a little bit more of a darker shadow around the lemon and the plant. Maybe in this area here, richen it up. And there you go. Painting is complete. Well, I hope you had fun. It may seem like a lot, but it's really, really easy. You can do a lot of different things to these paintings. You could take little whites and highlight each of these dots. You could go back in and very carefully shape and darken your dots if you like. I'm going to show you a darkened one, and then I'm going to show you a highlighted one. Okay, here's a darker one. See how dark that is? You could add a little white to your brush, and you could come right over here and add a little highlight to your dots. See, by simply taking the brush and adding a little stroke of white in certain places to give a little highlight to each of your dots. There you go. Your painting is complete. But again, I hope you had fun. This is a very interesting painting, very easy painting. We mixed some colors. We made up some foliage in the plant. We added darker values. You can continue to add values. You could add shadows to your lemons. You could add shadow to your vase. But for purposes of this video, I want to thank you all for painting with me. I hope you had a good time. I look forward to painting with you again. Until next time, bye-bye.